he is paid to care, and he hasn't realized that yet. And he needs to care. He needs to show empathy. And the COVID knows no political party. We are COVID orphans, and we're going to tell you, COVID knows no political party. He's the only one that has made this a political issue, and he needs to stop, because it's insulting me as a Democrat. It's insulting the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, any party you're with. COVID does discriminate.
That was Daniel and Peter Orbini. They lost their father to COVID-19 in a New York State nursing home. Joining me now is former House Oversight Chair Jason Chaffetz. Jason, first your reaction to what the Orbini brothers were saying.
Well, you know, it's sad. There are thousands and thousands of stories just like theirs, and it is sad. But they are correct about Governor Cuomo. I mean, you know, when he says, you know, they died, who cares, or some quote like that. You know, he's out there winning awards and accepting the pats on the back from Hollywood. He's, you know, he's writing a book in the middle of the pandemic. I don't know how he does that. But these are real families and real people.
Yeah, and when he said, who cares, people died, that sounded pretty self-incriminating. Yeah. When he said, you know, who cares? Okay, if he's so copacetic, who cares who died, then he shouldn't care about releasing all the documents and transcripts about what exactly happened behind the scenes in his administration for covering up the true number of nursing home deaths related to his executive order that created a super spreader disaster in nursing homes. By the way, nursing homes were blocked from testing for COVID due to his executive order. I'd like your reaction to Democrat lawmaker Ronald Kim. He lost his uncle to COVID-19 in a nursing home. Jason, he now says Governor Cuomo threatened to, quote, destroy him if Kim did not, quote, help cover and provide political protection for Cuomo's top aide, Melissa DeRosa, who admitted, yeah, we covered up the true nursing home death toll. We froze because of President Trump's DOJ probe. What do you say to that?
Well, it really does demand a significant probe by federal investigators. Unfortunately, my understanding is Melissa DeRosa's mother-in-law is the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. So they're going to have to bring in somebody else from the Department of Justice to properly do an investigation without a conflict of interest. You have 9, I think it's the Democratic lawmakers that are calling on the governor to take some dramatic action and step away from this issue. You have the one specific Democrat who's saying that he was threatened. I think anybody in law enforcement would like to know specifically, because remember, this is allegedly a cover-up of the numbers. Now, it's not just about New York. The Centers for Disease Control is trying to figure out how the disease is spread, who it's affecting, how it's being affected. And so when you cover up and don't provide that data to the Centers of Disease Control, it affects all of us across the country, because the scientists then can't do their job.
That's an important point that you just made. You know, and you wonder if the Biden administration, if the DOJ there would do a probe, because of what you pointed out. Melissa DeRosa's mother-in-law is the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. That's Audrey Strauss. We also have this Democrat lawmaker, Gustavo Rivera. He's saying, you know, Cuomo, you stonewalled us for 7 months, and it only took your Democrat state attorney general to pry the information out of you. You weren't including hospital deaths, nursing home patients put in hospitals and dying in hospitals in your numbers, because you wanted to make yourself look better. You know, and now we have an impeachment push, a petition to impeach him by New York lawmakers. It's got 16,000, 18,000 signatures. What do you say to that?
Well, I think it's warranted. I mean, he's earned this. He was out there every day trying to put this calm blanket on it. Ends up that he was absolutely covering this up. And that doesn't come from some Republican lawmaker not in his state. That comes from a Democrat within his own administration who was one of his aides. And so not only was he not giving the feds this information, that's the allegation, but he wasn't also giving that information to the state of New York, to the Democrats who were asking for this information. administration. And here you have his top aide, the person who is literally at his right hand to help him to execute this, trying to explain this on tape and telling people that that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
I mean, what else do they need to have? And why isn't the Biden-Harris administration moving on this immediately to appoint the proper prosecutor who doesn't have a conflict of interest to get to the bottom of it and get to the bottom of it now?
So everybody's, New Yorkers, everybody's just supposed to be okay, right? We're all supposed to be just okay and, you know, just go by the rules, go by what, you know, elected officials working on our nickel decide and do. We're supposed just to be okay. We're all supposed to be just okay with Governor Cuomo threatening a fellow Democrat, saying, you're going to feel my wrath. I'm going to destroy your career. You know, his uncle died of COVID-19 in a nursing home. You know, mocking Janice Dean with sexist remarks that she should stick to the weather. This is what taxpayers are paying for? This is what we get for our money? Really? We have 15,000 people dead. He put 9,000 patients back in. That's the. Why doesn't he just step up and apologize? Just be, you know, put on your big boy pants and say, I'm sorry, and take accountability and take responsibility. Your final word.
Yeah, I think not only should he apologize, but he should step aside. He's not up to the job. He's showing a willingness to just be disrespectful to people who have lost their lives, says he doesn't care, you know, about how they died. And he's got a huge conflict of interest now because they were allegedly covering up. That comes from his own aide. Step aside, Governor. That's what needs to happen.
Okay, before you go, I know you're fired up. We'd like to take a moment to reflect. I know you want to talk about this. Talk to us about conservative radio legend Rush Limbaugh. He passed away today.
You know, he was iconic. He really gave the conservative movement a voice, and he was got that guiding North Star. You know, for those of us that were young into politics and trying to think through tough issues, how do we think about this? How does it fall within the conservative movement? Rush would give voice to that. I had a neat moment with him at the State of the Union. I got to go there as a former member of Congress. He was up there accepting that award and that recognition from the president, and I got to kind of exchange a little bit with him, and I tell you, I always remember him. He was iconic to the conservative movement, and his voice, I don't think, can be easily replaced, if at all. But gosh, we're going to miss him. God bless him and his family.
All right, Jason Chaffetz, thanks for joining us. It's good to have you on. Come back soon.